Okay, so in the previous video, we discussed how what are the factors that drive food choices. Just to recap, there's taste, texture, and appearance. There's economics involved, early food experiences. There's habits, culture, geography, advertising, and there's social factors, health factors, emotions, green food, and sustainability choices. That's what we were discussing. So, some people like to find cruelty free options when purchasing organic food products. And there are also religious reasons why someone may want to become vegetarian. So there are like four kinds of vegetarianisms. There's lacto-ovo vegetarianism. Lacto means milk, ovo means egg. So they just eat milk and egg, and yeah, milk products and eggs. And then there is lacto vegetarian. They just eat vegetables and don't eat milk. I'm talking about animal products. So they just have dairy products from animals, but not eggs. All vegetarians would have eggs, but they would not have dairy products. Then there are vegans who wouldn't have any type of animal product or animal byproduct. Well, this is becoming a trend nowadays. It's a really interesting thing to discuss, that whether it's good for the environment or whether it's making the environment worse. So let me know in the comments what are your thoughts about it. Okay, now let's see how to achieve a healthy diet. First of all, a diet must be adequate by providing you sufficient amounts of each essential nutrient as well as fiber and adequate calories. Then, a balanced diet results when you do not overconsume a nutrient at the expense of other, but you're getting appropriate amounts of all the nutrients. Calorie control is also necessary uh, to relate to your daily activities. Like if you're not having a active lifestyle, you should not be consuming a lot of calories. Moderation means not eating to the extremes, neither too much nor too little. And variety refers to consuming different foods from within each of the food group on a regular basis. Let's get a little bit into it. So, when we talk about adequacy, mhm, an adequate diet is the one that favors nutrient dense foods. And nutrient dense foods are defined as foods that contain many essential nutrients per calorie. So there are meats, there are eggs, there are lentils, there are vegetables. So they are all nutrient dense foods. When you talk about sugary carbonated beverages, they are nutrient poor foods, right? Nutrient dense foods include fruits, vegetables, lean meat, poultry, fish, low fat dairy products, and whole grains. Choosing more nutrient dense food will facilitate weight loss while simultaneously providing all the necessary nutrients. Okay, now when we talk about balance the food in your diet. Achieving balance in your diet entails not consuming one nutrient at the expense of other. For example, when you look at calcium, it's essential for your healthy bones and teeth, but too much calcium would interfere with iron absorption, right? So most food that are good sources of iron are poor sources of calcium. So in order to get the necessary amounts of calcium and iron in your diet, a proper balance between food choices is critical. Another example is that while sodium is an essential nutrient, excessive intake may contribute to congestive heart failure and chronic kidney diseases in some people. Remember, everything must be consumed in appropriate amounts. And there is this image that you can see. under balance, there is this image. It's called My Plate. There is a portion of fruits, a portion of vegetables, a portion of grains, and a portion of proteins and dairy. So that's a really simple way of maintaining balance in your diet. Let's move on to moderation. Eat in moderation. Moderation is really crucial for your optimal health and survival. Eating nutrient poor foods each night for dinner will lead to health complications. If you're eating a Big Mac every night for dinner, that would be bad, right? It will be bad for you. But as a part of an otherwise healthful diet and consumed only on weekly basis, it should not be significantly impacting your overall health, right? Unless you're eating it a lot, even on the weekends. Yeah, like binge eating. That's not a good thing. It's important to remember that eating is in part about enjoyment and indulging with a spirit of moderation. This fits within a healthy diet. You should monitor food portions for optimal weight balance. It is important to ensure that energy consumed from foods meet the energy expenditure required for food functions and activity. Like if you're going to gym a lot, if you're trying to build muscle, you need to have more protein in your diet, right? And less fat and less carbs and you don't just cut off all the carbs and all the fat because that's also important for you. Okay, now in order to lose body fat, you need to ensure that more calories are burned than consumed. Likewise, in order to gain weight, calories must be eaten in excess of what is expended daily. Okay, now there is an image that shows you fast food options and shows you fresh foods options. So I'm not telling you to eat fresh foods all the time. You should also eat fast foods once in a while, as I said earlier, but do not make it an essential part of your diet, right? Like, don't do it every day. Variety. Variety involves different foods from all the food groups, and eating a varied diet would help us to ensure that we consume and absorb adequate amounts of all essential nutrients required for our diet. And one of the major drawbacks of monotonous diet is the risk of consuming too much of some nutrients. Like we discussed earlier when we were discussing about balance, some foods that are high in calcium or poor in iron, so you do not want to be consuming a lot of those foods and not consuming iron. So trying new foods can also be a source of pleasures, and because you don't know what foods you may like until you try them. And developing a healthful diet can be rewarding, but be mindful that all of the principles presented must be followed to derive maximal health benefits. For example, introducing variety in your diet can still result in consumption of too many high calorie foods and nutrient poor foods and inadequate nutrient intake if you do not employ moderation and calorie control. So basically, you just need to use all of the principles that we discuss in here in order to achieve a healthy diet. Thank you so much for listening to me, and let's move on to the next clip. Thank you.